Hi, this is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind Group page. And today we're here to talk about 4 ways, not 5, only 4 ways to connect your ATM to your processor. So back when we started 20 years ago, there was only one way to connect your ATM, and that was phone line. So what we did when we started out in the ATM game is we placed an ATM there, and then we ran a phone line basically with a patch cord to somebody's phone line, usually with a little splitter, and we just plugged in. Didn't cost us anything. We used their line, figured the ATM wasn't going to be used that much, and from time to time, maybe the person would get off the phone or it'd cause an interruption, but it wasn't a big deal. Okay, and then there was only, at the time that we used ATMs, there was 3 providers. There was Tidal, Triton, and Trenex. Those were 3 providers. Now, when we had a service issue, we'd call those manufacturers, and what happened is they would always ask us the same question: is this a dedicated phone line? We would say no. They say, your problem is definitely the phone line, and they'd hang up with us. So then we started to learn, you know what, maybe we should invest in going at least to the DMARC, make a direct line or a home run line. So that's what we ended up doing. It was still sharing the line, but at least it eliminated all the noise on the phone line. So after a little while, then we said, you know what, this still isn't working, and we ended up paying for phone line, depending on the location and the transactions. That cost was somewhere between $30 and $60 a month for a dedicated phone line. Solved a lot of issues. We didn't have any issues about noise. We didn't have any issues about somebody disconnecting because we were in control of the phone line. But there was challenges. It was financially sometimes burdensome. So we were excited when internet came out, or TCP/IP, we could go out and we could connect to the internet. However, the processors weren't on board with this yet. They were still on the mindset of an analog phone. So we worked through some of those challenges, and then the processors eventually got on board, and then we were able to connect to the internet. So that's pretty much some of the evolution. And you guys are very spoiled now, because now you have phone line an option, you have internet, and you have wireless. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the 4 ways to connect your ATM, which I just kind of gave you a brief summary, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons associated with each one. So enjoy the video. Again, thank you guys for liking and subscribing our YouTube channel. Always remember, we have an A to Z program that teaches you how to get into ATM business. If that's something you desire, we have hours of coaching, and it'll teach you from basically the ground all the way up to becoming an expert in the game. So we look forward to you if you decide to take that extra step and helping you through this program. All right, so we're going to dive right into it now. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the phone line. All right, number 1, phone line. So here's the pros. Pros of the phone line is, for the most of the time, you can just tap into somebody's phone line. In the beginning, there was analog, but now there's voice over IP, and it becomes really easy just to have a little splicer. You can run right to their modem, or if they are on analog phone, what I would suggest you do is run a home run, that's from your ATM all the way to the DMARC. Now, what is a DMARC? It's one with the pole. The phone line comes off the pole, and then it goes to the outside box, and then from the outside box, it'll splice different. If they have different lines, it'll splice to wherever that's going throughout the building. We run it right into that section. So you open up the phone box, you'll see usually 2 wires, a red and a green, and we just tap right on there. There's some brass wire, or some brass little washers. You go between the brass washers, and that's where you're going to run your phone line, right to that. You're going to do this just in case there's ever an issue that the owner says, you know what, the ATM's causing interference. You can go right outside, disconnect it, see if there's any issues, and if there is still issues, you know it's not your ATM causing it. And that usually saves you a bunch of money. Now, the con with the phone line is it is analog or voice over IP. Sometimes the signal drops from time to time, and what happens is it's slow. So a phone line, it takes you about 29 seconds for a transaction to communicate to the processor and back, where an internet's about 4 seconds. So it's about 7 times slower, but it usually saves you some money. Okay, so point number 2 is internet, or TCP/IP. That's what the ATM gurus like to call the internet. Now, what does TCP/IP stand for? Transmission, control, protocol, and internet protocol. So that's what TCP/IP stands for. Okay, so what's the pros of putting it on the internet? Now, the pros on the internet, real easy to run a line right over their modem. It doesn't cost you anything. You can tap into their situation, whatever it is, and it just becomes real easy to do that. So if you're real handy, what you can do is you can buy some internet wire, and then you can get some connectors, and you can make your own internet wires, or you can buy patch cords at any of the local electronic stores. You can buy them in 25, 50, 100 feet, and then you can just run a patch cord over to wherever their router is. So that's an easier way. Usually don't cost you anything except for that little labor in the beginning, okay? Now, what's the cons of this? Cons are, from time to time, and I'm going to use the Illinois market as an example here, we have 2 major providers here in Illinois. We have AT&T and we have Comcast. And what happens is they butt heads from time to time, and so a location will have Comcast for 3 years, and then all of a sudden they're going to switch. And when you get the call, you're going to get the call at Friday, probably about 7 o'clock at night, that the ATM doesn't work. And now you're going to go out to location and you're going to try to figure out, well, what happened? Okay, my tip to you is always ask them, hey, did you change providers in the last month? And so you're going to have to ask them sometimes 2, 3 times the same question, and say, aha, yes, we did. We changed providers. And you're like, okay, well, when you did that, that's why ATM doesn't work. It's because you disconnected our ATM. And so now you're going to have to figure out, okay, where is it's connected to? Where was it connected before? Do I have an open port? Can I reconnect it? Most of the time the answer is no, because what they did is they just had, all the ports are filled. They made sure their whole system works at the location, forgot about your ATM. So I always recommend you guys carry an extra switch in your car. That way you can plug in something into the switch, and then you can have your ATM working. So a little tip for you guys, carry a switch. The third way is wireless. Now here's the pros of the wireless. Pros are, you won't have to worry about that call on Friday night late because your internet went down. You won't have to worry about they switch providers. You don't have to worry about any of that. You won't have to worry to say, oh, you're stealing all my bandwidth with your ATM. You don't have to worry about any of that because you have a wireless device. Most of the time, almost every time, it never goes down. Usually always works unless they're putting a patch through. Works all the time. Really good. It's fast and it's convenient. Now, here's the cons of this. Now, the cons of the wireless is it depends on which way you go. There's 2 or 3 different formulas. It's going to cost you about $159 to $200 to buy a box. Or you can rent it or lease it somewhere between $17 and $20 a month, just depending on what deal you cut, what your volume is, what kind of player you are in the game. Now, what do we suggest? It just depends on what's better for you. If you buy the box, about every 2 years they're changing. We go from 3G and we went to 4G. Now we're currently going to 5G. So if you buy the box, now what happens is you got a bunch of boxes out on the street, and now they're basically throwaways. They will work for a little while, but your transaction will start to go down just because you're not on the latest grades and it's not as fast. So you have some kind of errors, and it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, it's like when we went from 2 to 3, it seemed like 2G worked all of a sudden, and then what happens is like they deliberately put patches in to kill it. That's what we saw. That's what I felt like anyways. I don't know if that's true, but we did see that there was some challenges, so then we upgraded to 3, then we went to 4. Now we're starting the process of migrating over to 5. So just a little tidbit, we do sell wireless boxes here, or you can rent them for us, just depending on what you do. And as we said before, what you guys want to do is, it depends if you just want to rent the box every month or if you want to buy the box. Just depends. We can go either which way. So, all right. So then our last point number 4, we're going to put that over in the ATM Mastermind group, just like we always do. I wanted to thank you guys for being part of the YouTube subscribers. I hope we're adding value to you and your business. Always remember to like and subscribe our video below. And if you guys got any comments or questions, please put them below. So I'll see you guys over at the ATM Mastermind group page. Thank you.